Instead of killing Lady Dimitrescu at the end of Resident Evil 8, our boy Ethan gets to make love to her in her true form, while we are all playing a horror game with a hard-on. I mean, that's worth experiencing. 10 out of 10 IGN Ignorant Gamers Network score. It really makes you feel like you're in a village. Okay, look, joking aside, you know what's funny? During the mid-2000s, I used to say, oh, these Twilight fangirls are so stupid. Why would anyone find a creepy, harmful, blood-sucking vampire attractive? I mean, wow, what a bunch of simps. But then me in 2021, I'm like, oh, a tall vampire lady. Very interesting. I'm just gonna wait for the modders to give us some research purposes skins. But to be completely honest, unfortunately, if you bought Resident Evil 8 because of the hot mommy vampire, you're gonna be severely disappointed. That lady crush isn't even the final boss. I mean, after watching all the trailers, I really thought that this vampire family was going to be a bigger threat or the main enemy, but that's not really a surprise because the Baker family was the focus of every Resident Evil 7 trailer and they weren't even the final boss. Now, Resident Evil 8 is basically the Doom Eternal / Halo 2 of the Resident Evil universe. Just from playing a few hours, you can tell it doubles down on the things we like, but yet keeps it the same. And speaking of the same, Resident Evil 4 is like, okay, buddy, you can copy my homework, but just don't make it obvious. And Resident Evil Village is like, I got you. Now, this is evident by the strong Castlevania vibes that you get when you first approach the castle and once you're inside. But Ethan has never learned the most important lesson that any man could ever learn. Never put your dick in crazy. He should have saved Zoe in RE7 because Mia is about as crazy as a bag of rats, and I don't mean her ever-changing, altering face. But you know what makes me laugh about this unlucky protagonist Ethan is that he now has military training in RE8, but for some reason he still doesn't know how to use iron sights. Not to mention the sway of the gun makes me feel like I'm playing GoldenEye from 20 years ago. Anyway, moving on. Around halfway through playing this game, I was like, RE8 isn't even that scary. RE7 was scarier. But I have two words for you. House Beneviento. Because I don't scare easily, ladies and gentlemen. But this was the exception. Because this was the first time in a long time where I almost damn near dropped my controller when that giant demonic hellspawn baby starts crawling out of the dark, decrepit hallway. That was legitimately one of the most disturbing and scary shit I've ever seen in a horror game so far. See, I'm a simple man. I see a giant fetus trying to devour me and I run the opposite direction, no questions asked. And the fact that you don't have your weapons and it's really dark and that monster calls you Dada, yeah, that really freaked me out, Capcom. Thank you very much. And when the baby starts crying when it realizes it can't get to you, that is pure nightmare fuel. My face started to look like the baby after that whole chapter, but it reminds me of the Rugrats episode where Angelica has that nightmare about her baby brother. I mean, I would rather see Mr. X chasing me down the hall than this godforsaken abomination. Imagine playing this part of the game at night, 3 a.m. alone with the doors and windows open with headphones on. Because that would be the most scary way to play that. Anyway, you can tell that House Beneviento chapter was clearly inspired by the famous demo PT, the baby crying, the radio, the red lighting, the fetus, the atmosphere, the hallway, the door that happens to open by itself when you go do the music puzzle. It all felt like PT. And I really enjoyed it, oddly enough. But you know who isn't enjoying Resident Evil 8? That would be the woke SJW weirdos. Color me surprised, color me shocked, color my hair purple. Let's get to the quote. Non-binary artist slams Resident Evil Village's Duke as one fat-shaming video game trope that went too far. One character in the game has come under fire. The Duke. The Duke's appearance has disappointed and angered some fans. When you first meet him, he lunges belly first out of his car and he frequently spouts lines about food and eating. And by bringing him ingredients from animals, he'll cook up meals to offer health upgrades. Many fans have noted the game's fairly obvious fat shaming. The Duke is a character to be laughed at purely because of his weight. But why? Ladies and gentlemen, if I do that voice any longer, my balls will literally go inverted. Now we must protect obese fictional secondary characters in video games because they have feelings too, you know. These are the same weirdos who said we want representation in video games, so here you are. How can you literally say we want representation, you get it, and then you say why are we getting representation now? This is oppressive. There's literally no winning with these people. I mean, who is offended by the Duke? I will tell you who. Insecure people that this generation seems to be particularly flooded with. And it's no surprise that Twitter of all places is crying about this because Twitter is full of snowflakes. They can't survive on the outside without their safe space bubble. Now these people fat shame all the time, which is why this is ironic because they fat shame in private when they look in the mirror and call themselves bad names. Don't lie to me, Twitter. I know you do it. Now look, if you have the time to complain about something as irrelevant as this, then you have the time to do something about it. Go and wash your greasy, unkept, stringy purple hair. Go and bury the carcass of the 9 cats that live with you. Look, most normal people are too busy trying to better their lives, but you, on the other hand, instead chose the path of least effort, which is sitting on Twitter all day. Now imagine if the Duke was a skinny guy with a large appetite, then they would say RE8 is fat phobic. There's no winning with these illiterate dingleberries. Anyway, let's get back to Resident Evil Village. Enough of those dickheads. Now RE8, just as a standalone game, not comparing it to anything, is an absolutely great experience. The aesthetic reminds me of those old Hammer House movies with Cushion and Lee. Anyway, just like all the previous games in the series, the last hour of every Resident Evil video game turns the action up every damn time, and this is no different. And on that bombshell, thank you all for watching. Manix out.